What was the most shocking thing you heard the quiet kid say? Nothing. Let me explain. I took a class with Sung-Wei Cho, the Virginia Tech shooter, one semester before the shooting. The class was called Contemporary Horror. It was a one-time elective offered by my favorite professor. We read horror novels and watched horror films and discussed the craft of creating scary stories, but also how they reflected or represented their era's fears. It was a great class. There were only about 15 students and it was discussion heavy. Cho was one of them. I honestly never noticed him, even in that small class, until halfway into the semester. He wasn't quiet. He was silent. So on the day we all finally noticed him, our professor asked him something directly. And Cho just stared at him. I can't remember the question, but the nature of it meant silence was potentially an acceptable and funny response. So we all laughed. Except Cho. He just kept staring at our professor. Our laughter awkwardly died, and after a few moments of uncomfortable silence, our professor just said, "Okay," and moved on. It was so strange. But I forgot about that weird moment until after his rampage. That professor later told me that Cho's papers had been disturbing, but the nature of our course meant the envelope was being pushed a bit, and it had never been bad enough to suggest he'd do what he did. That professor was a good man, and he admitted he struggled with not blaming himself on some level for one, not identifying how severe Cho's mental health problems were, and two, for the graphic and terrible nature of some of what we watched in that class, which may have inspired Cho. He knew that was bullshit, but a part of him couldn't help but feel some blame. It was terribly sad. I was best friends with the quiet kid in middle school. It wasn't so much shocking as the stupidest thing I've heard him say. He got this 1,000-yard stare all of a sudden and just said, "I can't remember what color my dog is." In high school, there was this really quiet girl named Grace. She was a pleasant person, but wouldn't say anything more than, "Hi," or, "Sorry," unless you asked her something. Even then, she'd appear terrified. It was at prom, and I was in the parking lot of the venue we had prom at. I lost a contact, and had to run to my car to grab my glasses. In the parking lot, Grace was smiling and walking from her car. She looked at me, laughed, and said, "Ryan, her prom date, just fingered the fuck out of me." I still laugh about it to this day. 72 virgins is nowhere near enough virgins for eternity. That's like a week's worth of virgins. Playing rugby, hooker fails completely at line out. Someone shouts jokingly, "Does anyone know any good hookers to replace Patrick?" Quietest guy on the team, never hear him say anything. Maybe Patrick's mum can help. Proceed to fall on floor. So this one kid, who barely ever said 2 words, one day, asks the teacher for the time. It was at some after-school thing and there was no clock. The teacher says the classic, "Time for you to get a watch," which for some reason was funny to everyone else. The quiet kid doesn't laugh. He looks the teacher dead in the eyes, and once everyone quieted down, he says, "So are you gonna tell me the fucking time, or what?" We were in like 7th grade. One of my students hardly said a word all year until a couple weeks ago. I was trying to get a group of talkative ones under control and she had enough. She yells out, "Shut the fuck up. I am trying to work, you fucking assholes." Awkward silence followed because I didn't know how to handle the normally studious and quiet one losing it. An annoying friend. Dylan, quiet kid. You're so fucking stupid sometimes. Dylan. At least I don't suck massive dick all the time. This was when I was in my first semester of college 2 years ago. There was this girl who never said a word. The teacher would ask her questions, she would just not say a word. I can honestly never remember her even making a noise. One day the teacher got upset. He felt like she was ignoring him and that she was being disrespectful, so he, like an asshole, said, "Did no one teach you how to speak?" She stood up, walked up to the whiteboard, grabbed his marker and wrote, "I am mute, you foolish fucker." Apparently no one ever told the teacher that she had a disability. But she was one bad-ass motherfucker for taking his marker out of his hand and writing that lol. In junior high in the mid-80s the game, Trivial Pursuit, was all the rage. We played it in math class one day and this kid, Gary, who never said anything at all, totally spanked everyone else by answering every single sports-related trivia question. He got a lot of attention for it and I believe he walked a little taller after that day. I don't think I ever heard him say anything else. but I did see him sitting on the bleachers at a few sports events. At school, having just shown me the scope for supposedly his, sniper rifle. If the fire alarm ever goes off and you can't find me, don't use the doors as an exit. What if we killed everyone with cancer to stop it from spreading? There was one girl in my school who I've only ever heard speak once the entire time I knew her. It was during lunch, and 2 black kids got into a fight. I heard her say, under her breath, "Fucking niggers." We were chillin' at a bar in Prague and someone rolled up some hash oil and tobacco and passed it around. The quiet kid hit it and got even quieter. 20 minutes later some aggressive, growling black metal comes on and out of nowhere he yells, "Kill your parents." We fucking lost it. He was pretty happy with himself. The quiet kid from my grade stood up one day, grabbed a broom, stood on a chair and began trying to swat bees that got inside. One bee landed on the window where quiet kid proceeded to yell, "Die bee die," and then swatted and shattered the window. He screeched when it happened and then sat back down. Never heard him speak again. Wow, literally this question came at a perfect time. I was just thinking about this and it was by far in sophomore year of high school. This kid was so odd that honestly no one ever really noticed him. But one day he's sitting across from me at a table and he sees this one girl in really tight shorts and goes, "God damn, I could have my head up her ass for months." It was pretty shocking. There was this one quiet girl in my class. And she would never say anything. This was around 3rd or 4th grade, but I would always try and get her to talk. I would be nice, like when she had no paper in her binder I'd take notice and give her some before she can ask. When she was searching for a pencil in her bag I gave her an extra one I had. It was like small little acts. Picking up her pencil when she dropped it, etc. Then at lunch this kid was picking on me. I was short, weak, and very emotional back then. She came out of nowhere and told the guy, "I'll give you 3 seconds to walk away." I was stunned because those were the first words I've ever heard her say. The guy slapped me, and she did a straight kick to his balls after that. I was honored. And shocked she ever said anything. She never said anything after that, but I did say thanks. TL. Dr. 3rd grade, quiet girl kicks my bully's balls after saying, "I'll give you 3 seconds to walk away." It was the only thing I ever heard her say. I'm happy I'm not black because I would be loud and annoying. She got suspended for 2 days. Haha. One day I cut in line at lunch in front of the quiet shy kid. He's all like, "Hey." I'm all like, "What are you gonna do about it?" He's all like, "I'm gonna rape your daughter." I'm all like, "I don't have a daughter." He's all like, "I can wait." I'm all like, "Oh_oh." My asshole is this big, while making a circle with her fingers. Removed. Quiet kid sneezes. Boy behind her, "God bless you." Her. God isn't real. In kindergarten, there was this kid, Donatel, and he never said a word. He was nice enough, played games and everything, but completely silent. One day we were looking out the classroom window as a cop drove by. Donatel opens his mouth and says, "Police car." At the time, we were all excited to hear him speak, but looking back, that kid must have had some real dark history. This douchebag kid who constantly fucked with people was in line with the quiet kid and the quiet kid's friend. The quiet kid is a bit overweight, so when he gets up to the lunch lady and gets his chicken nuggets, the douchebag says, "You don't want extra nuggets, big guy?" The quiet kid out of nowhere just starts ranting. "No, I am all set, but what are you up to this weekend? You wanna hang out, grab some food, maybe fuck a bit? I like to be on top and you look like a bottom. What do you say, wanna fuck tonight?" The entire line is dead silent. The douchebag starts getting all pissed off and acting like he's gonna start a fight, and the quiet kid says, "Okay fine, you can be top, baby." The douchebag kid leaves to the entire line laughing their asses off at his expense. No idea if the quiet kid was gay or he just knew that even jokingly suggesting the douche kid was a homosexual would upset him more than anything. But I do know he left the line with his delicious chicken nuggets and a huge smile on his face. In middle school, the quiet kid, Steven, had an arch rival. Robbie. In class, Robbie always seemed to come out on top of their little scuffles. Mostly because Steven couldn't really formulate or execute a burn or a comeback. He just rolled over and let Robbie get his insults in until the teacher stepped in. One day I was walking behind Robbie after that class and Steven quietly crept up behind him. Before Robbie could even turn around, he got as close as possible and said, "If I was to come into your house and kill you while you were sleeping, I doubt anyone would even notice." Then he disappeared into the darkness of the science hallway. I don't remember the exact words, but that was pretty damn close. I was about 55% shocked, 30% laughing hysterically on the inside, and 15% terrified. Robbie never made fun of ol' Stevie again. In class we were studying genetics and one guy was being a real douche and the teacher couldn't get him to shut up. Then after discussing inbreeding in dogs, one quiet kid raises his hand and says, "So is this likely how Peter, douche, became so fucking retarded? I bet your grandmother got raped at Nanking." I was the quiet kid. I go to a private school, so there's a fair share of spoiled, privileged kids. In any case, while most people are pretty nice, there's a lot of complaining. Anyways, I was in English class, which is one of my favorites, except that I don't really have any friends in the class. I had trained myself to not say anything, because when I did I was usually met with groans and a chorus of, "You?" reclaiming February's doing it again. The teacher was a nice, young, pretty English major, who had also gone to a private school, so she was used to well-behaved kids. To her delight, my class is that. The only negative quality about most of the students is, like I said, complaining about completely inane things. Somewhat early in the year, when she was still under the impression that we were all well-behaved, uniform young men and women, during a quiz a random girl decided to start whining about analogies. Understand? This is the kind of class where talking during quizzes is socially acceptable, because it's understood that no one's cheating, or dumb enough to cheat by straight up asking people the answer. I had gotten pretty sick of the complaining, so after she finished her rant about analogies, I pulled out an old line from Dave Barry, thus ruining my class's state of grace forever. And that's why I started doing heroin. At the time I thought that would be pretty hilarious, but instead the class just stared at me and the shocked teacher couldn't seem to find the words to say. No one in the class really knew me well, so they had no reason to believe I was joking. For the rest of the year, no one complained about analogies.